Hey, what's up guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. We're going to kick things off looking at the Bitcoin price chart as we are less than 1 year away from the next Bitcoin halving. Then we're going to dive into a bunch of news. I hope you enjoy. Alright guys, happy Saturday. Let's kick it off looking at the Bitcoin price chart. So per this video I did 3 months back, we're shouting out Steve from Crypto Crew University for this interesting tool or strategy he found in trying to map the next cycle top for the Bitcoin price chart. So stay with me here really quick and then we're going to dive into the chart. And what he discovered was by measuring the cycle low of Bitcoin, starting off with this impulse to the cycle high before the next bear market or crash, he discovered this percent, 326,688%. Now he took this number and divided it by an arbitrary number as far as I know, or the magic number 5.3. So he took that percentage of the impulse, divided by 5.3, and he got 61,675. Now when he got this number, he applied it to the cycle low to gauge the next top for Bitcoin, and you can see how well it did. It basically gauged the top exactly. And I mean, we are talking right there, 61,610 versus 61,675. So that's pretty damn close. And then he took that number, 61,000, divided by 5.3, and you apply it to the next cycle low, and you can see the top again. So I know it might seem silly, but this accurately predicted the top of Bitcoin, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. So if we did follow this model again, where would it take our Bitcoin top, assuming that we did in fact bottom at 15,500 in November of 2022? So about a 414% increase from that low. So if we were to look at this most recent bottom and assume that this was in fact our bottom for this bear market, let's take a look. That would take us to around $79,000 to $80,000 per Bitcoin, which is pretty interesting. We can take a look at the fib levels as well and look at the 127 extension at 83K and the 1618 is at 102K. Now, this is assuming we hold that bottom. What if we do in fact have another black swan like we've had dozens of and we close the CME gaps at 9,800? How would this change the overall top for Bitcoin if we were to close that gap at 9,800 and look for a 414% increase? So it would still be taking us roughly to $50,000 for Bitcoin. So this gauged the market top 3 times in a row over the past 10 years. Now in this video, I also highlighted some other things I'm looking at, such as every single cycle we at least retrace to the weekly Fibonacci R1. So we can see right there hitting the R1 retracement, then heading towards all-time high. Right there we hit the R1 perfectly, retrace back to the pivot, head towards all-time high. And then even during this retracement, during the 2018-2019 bottom, we had right to the R1 again, as you can see right there. A bigger retracement or bigger crash during March 2020, and then head towards all-time high. So where do you think we are? Because if we still head to that R1, whether it's a retracement towards 40K and we have to correct a bit before heading towards all-time high, where we actually blast right through that level like we have in the past before. Now, some other things to note as well is per these levels, let me just delete this really quick. For 3 cycles over the past 10 years, remember that we not only have reached the R1 3 times in a row, but we've also reached the 50% retracement per candle bodies. If we're looking at wicks, it's even higher to the 618. So notice the 618 is right on the R1. So again, we've hit the weekly R1 and we reach at least the 50%, if not the 618 every single time for the past 10 years for 3 cycles. And then even looking at the Fibonacci, assuming this is in fact our low that will hold, we can see the 50% retracement is around 42,000 just above the Fibonacci R1 on the weekly. So I'm 100% open-minded to entertaining a new all-time high price for Bitcoin, but first, I want to see us close above that 50% retracement. In previous cycles, we have in fact rejected this level, so this is going to be very key to break through before we can discuss an all-time high price. Now also, I think that 40K is super conservative. That is just my opinion and not financial advice. And I will say that $40,000 for Bitcoin, I know it seemed probably crazy when we're down here, but I think that's still extremely conservative. Now I retweeted this by JT and I really like this look. So this is an inverted chart, so it is upside down, but he's pointing out a head and shoulders, and technically if we flip it around, which I'll show you, it has some very interesting targets per the neckline. So shout out to JT for this, and let's apply it on this chart and take a look. So what he did was looked at an inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish pattern on the weekly time frame, and we can see that measuring this left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder, we can apply this length to the breakout point or the neckline to get that same target. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Why? Is because this back test would actually align with that 25K area, And per the weekly 50 MA and the monthly, I do want to keep tabs on this. We're going to talk about some open CME gaps for worst case scenarios for any mega bears. I personally am not mega bearish, but absolutely anything can happen in the crypto market. So watching this weekly 50 MA, and we will talk about the monthly as well for additional support. We have almost come and tapped that level, very close to about 25K today. But per this inverse head and shoulders, that would actually take us to about 41,000. So why is that interesting? Is because that's actually a confluence with a variety of things, such as the weekly pivot towards the R1 Fibonacci, which we've hit 3 times in a row over the past 10 years during a cycle, whether it's a mere retracement or we break right through and head to all-time high. You can also look at the fib towards the 50% retracement, as we shared. We can see it's pretty darn close to that level. So bottom line, it is just showing $40,000 time and time again, and I believe we easily get that before the next Bitcoin halving, if not this summer. So we have an inverse head and shoulders, we have the R1, we have the 50% retracement for the Fibonacci pivot, we have a variety of other altcoins already reaching the R2 and R3, whereas others have just hit the pivot, and some are actually forming new lows, just like Bitcoin and even Fetch when they were back here. Now, some other things to point out, looking on the Bittrex chart, this is always very illiquid. We do have an open gap right here. We can see this open gap is right around, between 22,000 all the way up to about 23,700. So this gap is completely open. So during a crazy crash or liquidations, even on Bittrex, we could see this gap close with a sharp wick. We can see that 50 MA on the weekly time frame could also be the next support zone, as it was previously acting as resistance. Now during a bull run, it does in fact act as support and then flip to resistance. As you can see, support, resistance, we can see previously here breaking out. And then looking at the Bitcoin CME futures, we still have these open gaps as we've shared a long time ago. Remember, this one was closed during that liquidation, but we still have an open one that has been left over right here. And it's actually between about 20,300 all the way up to about 21K. So this is in fact open. Now, what do I personally believe? My personal call, right or wrong, is I actually think we have a higher probability to close the gap above at the 3-2 Fibonacci retracement, around 35K or 34,800. Now, of course, anything can happen, and the lowest CME gap we have is around 9,800, so this has been open for years at this point. But me looking at these structures, even back to 2012, we have this crash, we have 1, 2, takeoff, we have this crash, and almost like a double bottom during 2015, we have 1, 2, takeoff, we have this crash, retracement, back down, and we can see 1, 2, takeoff. So did we in fact form a similar structure or bottoming structure before a big retracement like we've seen in the past 3 times before? As you can see, huge crash, 1, 2. So very interesting when you're considering that inverse head and shoulders, the 50% Fibonacci retracement, the weekly R1 pivot, all types of confluences. And as long as we hold above the weekly 50 MA, I'm still bullish on the macro. We can use this as a support level. Historically, it has been used as support during a bullish impulse. Notice in this case, it never touched. You can see once it did one more bounce, then flipped to resistance. So I'm keeping tabs on that, but overall, as long as Bitcoin maintains above the 50 weekly MA, currently at 22K, I am bullish. Now we're less than 1 year away until the next Bitcoin halving. Per history, we can see from that cycle low up until the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin saw a 500% increase. Then diminishing returns, just like the previous video, diminishing returns, and each cycle gets a bit longer. So I'm not a huge student or avid student of the cycle per se, but I do believe in cyclical analysis. I like the pi cycle, and there's a lot of interesting things you can find, just like what Steve found here with this 5.3 equation. So we can see from the cycle low, 500%. From this cycle low, 2015, 300%. And we can see from the last cycle low, 200%. So it's diminishing. And assuming that this is in fact the bottom, are we going to be rallying a bit more before this next Bitcoin halving? So we can see hitting R1, retracing, hitting R1, retracing, hitting R1, retracing. And that R1 for Bitcoin is still currently right around 39 or 40K. And the way I'm looking at the market, guys, we've seen dozens of assets reach the R1 and R2, such as Injective, and there's been a variety of others, including Bitcoin and Ether, that have reached the pivot along with the 236 Fibonacci retracement from the all-time high to the cycle low. So they've reached the 236, and other altcoins like INJ and this huge list, Ocean, etc., they have reached much higher levels, if not surpassing the R1 and R2 in some cases, but some of these did ride the AI hype. So I just believe there's going to be some other narratives and other sectors in the crypto market that do pretty well. And my personal opinion is there's still a variety of altcoins that are forming a double bottom, a new low, that are still right around here. And per a Bitcoin pump, if it does climb to that 40K or much higher, and during a crash of Bitcoin dominance, that's when we can get that alt season. Now we can compare a variety of altcoins. Casper reached the P pivot, but I want to see us flip that to official support. We'll talk about Casper as well with some big news on the way. But remember, Singularity was leading the way. This pump actually occurred at the beginning of this year, and not even from the all-time low, but during just this overall impulse. You can see this shot over 13x. We had fetch drawing a similar structure, huge new low drawn as the spring and the accumulation taking off past the R1 at 10x. And so it's interesting, a lot of people sharing different accumulation schematics. So we have right here Koosh, and this is the Bitcoin daily. So entering the phase for expansion before takeoff. So this is the daily Bitcoin price chart, and we can see a perfect accumulation schematic for Wyckoff. And again, this is in line with that inverse head and shoulders that JT shared. So I do find this super interesting. I know the majority are probably super bearish because altcoins have taken a hit, but I do believe this will pass. And right now, everything I see on the weekly and monthly time frame looks great. And also, for anybody that uses Uphold and has your Casper trapped on the exchange or being held hostage by Uphold, please retweet this tweet just to bring some awareness. I've been reaching out to Uphold since 2021. Just kindly asking over and over again, please allow withdrawals. I know they allowed native staking on Uphold for Casper holders, but due to the SEC and regulations, that was removed for US investors. So there is no reason why Uphold cannot allow us to withdraw our tokens so that we can actually stake or delegate on chain. The point of crypto is having freedom. So please reach out to Uphold. You can either retweet this or tag them on Twitter. If you use Uphold, you can open a support ticket. I think we just need a huge, massive movement just demanding that Casper should be allowed to be withdrawn from Uphold. Next up, we have right here, Ripple, the leader in enterprise blockchain and crypto solutions, is expanding its presence in Dubai with a new office in Dubai International Financial Center. So this region has, I think, like 2,000 plus businesses, progressive regulations, robust tech infrastructure. They work very closely with the governments. So that's kind of why their regulation is so on point, and they're very progressive when it comes to technological adoption. So they've helped Dubai consolidate its status as a global capital of advanced tech, attracting top companies like the company Ripple. We also have shared by the X Frontier Casper, do not sleep on the blockchain innovation out of the UAE in the MENA region, which is the Middle East, Northern Africa region. Glad to see Casper Labs is strategically partnered with Al Mascari. So it's not just Skybridge Capital, which is huge within its own right. And they have one of the most impressive Rolodexes in the Fortune 2000 space. If you are connected with Skybridge, you basically have an in into the Fortune 2000 companies. They do not just pick any crypto projects. Now, Al Mascari, this is connected to the royal family of Abu Dhabi. So speaking of the Middle East region, this is powerful. We can see Crypto Oasis ecosystem reports of the UAE, and Casper is mentioned. So we know that Casper Labs, the company Ripple, a variety of serious projects are focused in the UAE. Also from Cowboy Crypto, this was at the Dubai FinTech Summit. We have Brad Garlinghouse. So guys, I've done over 1,000 videos on XRP. Yes, I believe in it. I hate waiting just as much as the next guy. It's no fun, doing videos in a standstill for several years. And we can see, he's quoted to say this, the good news is that we are at the end of the journey, and while others in the crypto industry might be at the beginning of that journey in terms of a lawsuit or getting regulatory clarity, the silver lining for Ripple the company has been that we're kinda at the end. Sometime I would say between the next 2 and let's say 6 months, I expect a resolution. I'm optimistic we're going to see resolution, I believe before the end of Q3. So I'll believe it when I see it, but it's great to hear this. I know it's, constant delays. I understand the frustration. I'm frustrated too. But at the end of the day, I'm an investor and I will patiently wait. This lawsuit has been going on for 2+ years. We are almost there. Also, some huge things from Kilt, which is a microcap we've spoken about. They have partnered with Deloitte, one of the big four. So this is actually Deloitte Switzerland, and we can see they are integrating Kilt to issue reusable digital credentials for KYC and KYB processes. So this is a huge deal for a small cap to be integrated and working with Deloitte, one of the big four. So Kilt, for those that don't know, is related to the Polkadot ecosystem, and they're focused on DIDs, or decentralized identities. And remember, there's going to be billions and billions of decentralized identities in Web3. So these credentials have multiple use cases, including regulatory compliance for banking and decentralized finance, age verification for e-commerce, etc. Now we have Meta Parlikar, the CTO of Casper Labs, discussing the new release for the Casper network, and we can see this person asking, what is the ETA of 1.5 in the upgrade? She said 4 to 5 weeks. So that's super exciting because keep in mind, I know Casper's price action has been a bit down, but remember, to my knowledge, we have yet to mint the 25 million patents, arguably 40 million patents on Casper's public network. This is $7 to $10 billion on the public chain. that will most likely live there, be transacted there for years, assigning monetary value to intellectual property. And remember, this is the largest enterprise deployment in history for blockchain, so that's a huge deal. They beat out other companies like JP Morgan. So this is Casper Labs, Hyperledger, which is huge in the enterprise space, and then of course IPW. Now, discussing this upgrade, we know Casper 2.0 is on the way as well, and that's going to have massive upgrades. So my question is, Casper said they were planning to mint in the coming weeks, and it seems to just keep getting delayed. Are they waiting for this network upgrade before they start minting the $7 to $10 billion in aggregate value on Casper's chain? It makes me wonder. And how the heck have we yet to be listed on Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, these huge T1 exchanges? Like Kraken, the exchange, and Casper Labs literally presented side by side at Blockchain Hub Davos for 2 years in a row. So Kraken knows who they are. Are they waiting for this huge enterprise deployment before listing it on some major exchanges? Now, I saw Tokenizer share something. Let me find it really quick. Yeah, right here. Okay, right here I retweeted this. So the list of other companies that IPW built on Casper is listed alongside the winners of Paris Blockchain Week. So Casper is the public network that beat out all these companies. So JP Morgan, we have Nomura, all these huge organizations. And now these enterprises are going to say, wow, so this won, and this is built on Casper. So this is even more attention. Now, speaking of enterprise attention, arguably the biggest event is coming this month for Casper. So the SALT conference is coming up May 16th, just in a few days, so this upcoming week. We have the CEO of Casper Labs that will be speaking. Now, this is going to be absolutely massive because if you are a Fortune 500 CEO, if you are a government leader, if you are a billionaire working on real solutions, you are going to be at SALT. You're not going to be at NFT New York. Although that's cool and fun for retail communities, this is where the big boys actually present. So when it comes to SALT, I know there have been some hints that there's going to be some big announcements related to Nucleus Finance. Remember, this is with the Actus or Octus standard, one of the biggest 3 data standards in the world. The Nucleus Finance is a joint venture that is solely built on Casper for creating an interoperability standard for cash flows, tokenizing these financial contracts. So this is huge. So if you want to learn more, go to nucleusfinance.com to learn a bit more about this. And remember, they are connected to WM.in-service. So New York and Switzerland. So WM.in-service, remember, is right here. This is the central authority and data provider for the global financial market. We have Casper Labs, we have Ariadne, and of course, Nucleus Finance. All discussing the Actus standard and tokenization as a service. We've talked multiple times about the dozens of trillions of dollars and the expectations from firms like BCG, from Gardner, multi-trillion-dollar use cases for the future of finance and beyond. And also remember, there's 3 data standards. So there's ISO, just like ISO 222, but do not get tunnel vision. There's more. There's Actus or Octus, and then there's, I believe, called FIX. So Actus, remember, the foundation is working with Casper. This covers 98% of all financial contracts in the world. So this is trillions of dollars of cash flow for bonds, tokenized mortgages, loan agreements, repayment plans, etc. And I mean, this is the biggest thing in the world and nobody's talking about it. I know Casper's at 4 or 5 cents, but I believe in the future there is amazing potential. We have a CBDC strategic advisor for Ripple right here sharing that Ripple was ranked #1 and an established leader for central bank digital currencies from 15 vendors in a recent report by Juniper. So pretty impressive to see that. We can see R3, we have MasterCard, Consensus, Stellar, FIS, etc. And even Casper Labs sharing 87% of executives are investing in blockchain tech this year, despite dozens of black swan events over the past couple years. They are still investing heavily into infrastructure to learn because this technology will save billions and trillions of dollars. It's better for redundancy, it's better for security to be connected to a public network and have multiple audit trails to cross-reference. But why I believe Casper is going to be a true winner in this space is because they offer hybrid and flexible solutions and they can adapt as business needs change. There's upgradability to stay regulatory compliance. And of course, Ripple is making absolute moves in terms of cross-border payments. With regulatory clarity, the floodgates could finally open. I'm tired of talking about it. We already know how deep the rabbit hole goes. We know the potential. There's crazy high price potential. Whether or not you entertain conspiracies or riddles, it's fascinating. We know the success case, we know the potential. And right now we're sitting at, 40 cents. Could we go lower? It's up to Bitcoin. Do I believe that XRP can easily create a new all-time high price or even more with true adoption? 100%. So keep tabs on this. Ripple still is a strong company and they're pushing their presence globally, including in the MENA region. And remember that Casper Labs is one of the only firms that is SOC 2 compliant, and they're going after other types of compliance as well and certifications, which is huge. Now, this was shared by NASDAQ. We have Brooke Shields stop by NASDAQ to celebrate the launch of the first NFT from space in partnership with, guess where it was? On Casper. So WiseKey, remember WiseSat as well, is working with SpaceX. We have Casper Network and SpaceX. So this is not speculation. We've shared it before, the actual NFT from space before. Let me see if I can pull it up. So here's what I shared back in December. So just highlighting WiseKey, WiseSat. This is a NASDAQ traded company with SpaceX, data stored on a Casper blockchain, 50 billion connected devices worldwide, and using IoT devices for satellites to track goods on the Casper blockchain. So just super, super powerful stuff. Remember that even this year, the CEO of Casper speaking alongside them at Davos 2023 in January, alongside the CEO of WiseKey right there. You have space and IoT experts, just so many big use cases that are being built on Casper. We've shared by OnMeta supporting Hedera for on and off ramp services. You can buy HBAR seamlessly via local payment methods. So I would like to see some on-ramps for other crypto assets as well, but great to see more on and off ramps day by day. And I also believe that HBAR does in fact recover. We'll see where we can hold support, but guys, I mean, we're still going to hit the weekly pivot in my opinion, and that is by that other wick right around like 13, 14 cents. So I just believe HBAR is preparing for its next move up. Whether Bitcoin has to move first and pull some money out of alts, I just believe that there's a variety of alts that have already shown us a little bit of strength, and I think we're just waiting on that next move. There's been dozens that I've shared on previous videos of altcoins reaching their daily 500 MA, and HBAR is still well below that level. And last but not least, shared by iTrustCapital, this is linked in the top of the YouTube video description for tax-free trading and investing using a Roth IRA for exposure in the crypto asset class, precious metals, and soon to be private placement and fractionalized real estate. 16% of Americans state that they have used, invested, or traded a cryptocurrency. What do you think this number will be by 2030? Much higher. Did you know that individual retirement accounts are the largest segment of the retirement market with $13.9 trillion in assets that could have exposure to crypto? And I've been with iTrustCapital for over 3 years now. There are 0 fees besides a 1% transaction fee. So there's no custody fees, monthly fees, maintenance fees, hidden fees whatsoever. So they take in-kind transfers, they have a regulated custodian that is also insured, and they use institutional cold storage. So your funds are locked up with also MPC cryptography. So be sure to check it out. This is linked in the top of the YouTube video description. If you use the link in the video description and fund your account, you'll also get a $100 funding reward. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.